Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to today's video. This episode will guide you through the issues of Uncanny X-Men published in 1983. With this double-sized issue 166 being the climax of the BROOD saga, and having a reveal that will lead to the conclusion of the saga. Double-sized issue 166. The planet of Madrizar has always been covered in darkness. So far from the sun that the day and night sky are the same. A sky filled with stars all around. Until the BROOD colonized the planet, that is. Punching gigantic geothermal pits down to the core, whose heat warmed up the surface crust and melted the frozen atmosphere. Cultivating the planet even further until it became habitable for them, so they could start their hunt. A hunt for the Akanti. Giant, gentle and sentient beings who have been around since creation, according to the legends. Point in case, this Akanti creature currently being enslaved by the Hunt Master and his cadre. The process is nearly complete and pretty much irreversible, unlike what they were able to do to the X-Men, who've been on the run ever since their escape. Suddenly, a bright light shines and lights up this side of the planet. It's binary, Carol Danvers' latest incarnation and her most powerful one. Here to destroy the whole race of the BROOD and avenge her friends the X-Men for being implanted with the BROOD egg during their captivity, only a couple of days ago. The BROOD try and resist, try and fight back, but it's all no use. Binary destroys everything in sight. Apart from the enslaved Akanti. Carol plans on freeing it from its enslavement, but the Akanti tells her telepathically what has been done to her. Nothing can be done. The BROOD enslavement virus has spread too far. There's only one way it can be liberated, and the Akanti and Carol both know it. The Akanti must be released from a future life of enslavement by death. Carol plays her part in the execution, and the rage inside her grows even more. She leaves this planet and proceeds to find the next BROOD colony. She's suddenly flying past a projection of Storm, a friend of hers whom she thought had died. Surprised by this, she stops flying and talks to Storm, asking her how it's possible that she can hear a voice inside her head, and how Storm is able to survive deep in space without any form of protection. Storm tells her she is no longer the same person she knew, that this form Carol is seeing is just an astral projection and that her body is close by, as are the X-Men, who could all use her help. She invites Carol to come back inside the infant Akanti. Carol tells Storm that she just killed one of the adult ones, and Storm says it was necessary, and that she would have done it herself had Carol not done it. They fly inside of the Akanti through its mouth. Storm tells her to calm down and that she won't bite. She explains to Carol that one of the changes that she experienced was merging with the Akanti and becoming one with it. Storm telepathically informed the X-Men, who are still inside of Lilander's vessel, of Carol's arrival. They discuss Carol's departure and what kind of mess she left behind, how she could not find her way back through the nebula, and how she felt lousy for what she did to her friends by blasting through the hull of the ship. Carol sees a body in some kind of membrane, resembling an embryo of a full-grown human with no skin. She wants to ask Storm if that's her, and Storm tells her it's a remnant of one of her less pleasant moments, which started with the BROOD hatching. The old friends rekindle their friendship aboard the ship, regardless of what had happened in the past couple of days. They seem to be relaxed, despite of them being a host for a BROOD queen egg. Apart from Kitty, that is. She's pretty much panicking. Wolverine tries to calm her down by telling her that sometimes when faced with adversity, all you can do is laugh. And when they can't stop the transmutations into the BROOD, unless it's by dying, at least they can make damn sure that the Sleazoids won't be able to do this to anyone else. That's their mission. There's some discussion between Cyclops, Lilandra, Wolverine and Storm. Storm tells them that from a universal perspective, there's a lot more at stake than just vengeance. Storm then tells the others about the history of the Akanti and BROOD, their relationship and their universal connection. Why the BROOD are hunting the Akanti and what purpose they serve the BROOD, apart from fast-flying surrogate spaceships. They also serve as sustenance. The BROOD feed on them. She tells about the Prophet Singer, the leader of the Akanti race and caretaker of their very soul as a race, and what happens when an Akanti dies and how the leadership is transferred. She also tells them what happened to the last leader and how that process has not been completed, and what the roles are of the two Akanti that both Carol and Storm met on their travel through space. Finally, she tells them what exactly had happened to herself, after she was about to perish in outer space, and how she was able to get rid of the implanted egg in her body. Wolverine then asks where they can find the soul of the Uncanny race, and she tells Logan that it's the head of the Uncanny skeleton on Sleaze World. Cyclops comes up with a plan on how to assault their enemy base and save the Uncanny race, but Wolverine says he prefers a different plan. He says that him, Storm and Carol are the only three of them who can really be trusted, because they've been liberated from the Brood implantation. And since they don't know when the X will hatch in each and every one of the others, it could make all the difference. Cyclops seems buttered and tells Wolverine he can take care of all the distrust right here and right now, by killing them all on the spot. Logan considers the dilemma that's been bugging him for a long time now. The hatching seems inevitable and he can spare his friends a horribly painful transformation and death. Cyclops taunts him and Wolverine extends his claws. Kitty jumps in the middle, calming both guys down. Scott says Wolverine's objection is noted, but overruled. He tells Storm that he's sorry for usurping the team leadership role. She's fine with this because she considers herself not in the position to lead the team anyways. Scott asks her if she's able to utilize her weather controlling powers in this form. She says she's not sure about this and prefers to not try, because her human physical body is still recuperating and in critical condition. She'd rather not risk having her consciousness stuck in this form. Cyclops just needs to know if she will, if the situation arises. She responds by saying that she will do what must be done, whatever the cost. A day later, the X-Men, Lilandra and Binary launch their assault on the Brood homeworld. Hidden inside the Uncanny, the team infiltrates the Brood world atmosphere, immediately pursued by an intercepting squadron of Brood spacecraft. The Uncanny is a lot faster and agile. They reach the Uncanny skeleton in a few seconds. And then, suddenly, it makes a sharp turn upwards. Inside the creature, Storm is wondering if she's made the right decision in risking the destruction of not only this infant Uncanny, but the entire race as a whole. But then again, what choice do they really have? The X-Men brace themselves as they're being held by Lilandra, calling them to come to the transporter room for the next part of the plan. Cyclops seems tense and Wolverine, Kitty and Nightcrawler notice this. Cyclops is worried about Lilandra mixing up the coordinates of the teleportation, with the X-Men ending up inside of the planet's matter or high up in the air and plunging to the ground. Lilandra assures Cyclops that she knows what she's doing. They beam down and Kitty makes a Star Trek reference, and has to giggle, while Cyclops has no clue what she's going on about. At the same time, the infant Uncanny has already flown beyond the orbits of Brood World's inner moons, and Storm rejoices in the feeling of flight and feeling the celestial energies flowing around and through the Uncanny. She notices a disturbance in those flows and can only conclude that the Brood have taken the bait. Below on Brood World, down in the Royal Hive, the Brood Queen is being telepathically informed by the shipmaster, who has been in pursuit of the infant Uncanny, telling the Queen the bioscan readings are off the charts and has not seen anything like it. The Brood Queen has, and immediately recognizes the infant as the Prophet Singer. She wants it enslaved and unharmed. That infant is the key to achieve an unbreakable hold on all of the Uncanny. She threatens the shipmaster as she's being held by another Brood, who identifies as one of her progeny, informing her that she is about to be deceived, that the X-Men have landed on the planet and plan on freeing the soul of the Star Singer. This Brood is aware of these things because apparently it's one of the X-Men, of whom the transformation has already begun, unaware to the others. It suggests to slay them all while they're not suspicious. Brood Queen tells her not to, because they are her brothers and sisters after all. The Queen tells her to remain in contact and to strike once the command is given. The Queen orders the Huntmaster to assemble a team of the best Warrior Prime and that she herself will lead the attack on the X-Men, who are roaming the catacombs. Catacombs filled with creatures even the Brood Huntmaster is afraid of. The Queen tells the Huntmaster he has a choice: follow her orders and face them, or her. While the X-Men advance their position, they're disgusted by the place in which they're located. Wolverine tells Kitty she's a smart kid for wanting to go home. He knows firsthand what dangers lurk in this place. Cyclops taunts him, and Wolverine tells him to just wait with making smart remarks until he's seen what they will be up against. Wolverine is on the trail of the scent of their objective. Storm told him what to aim for. He warns them all for the dangers of both the flora and fauna down there and tells his friends to stay close and ready. Kitty wonders if Storm and Binary are doing alright, and Wolverine responds by saying that they will be fine and tells her to care about herself right now. In space, the Brood in their own enslaved adult Uncanny spaceship are closing in on the infant, who seems to lack the endurance of the full-grown Uncanny. They are about to fire the weapons as soon as they're within range. One of them tells the shipmaster that there's something out there, in a trajectory to place itself between the target and them. It's not able to be identified, but the energy readings are extremely high. Whatever it is, it's as bright as a star. The shipmaster sends orders out to shield up to maximum power and blast whatever it is out of space. It's Binary, angry for all the Brood have done to her, her friends and the Uncanny race. The Brood quickly change from being hunters to being the prey. She attacks the ship with full force, while Storm pushes her recovering body to form lightning flares and attack the ship as well. The elements in space are a lot more powerful than what she's used to on Earth, so the strain on her is a lot. She's in pain but still persists. As the X-Men and Lilandra make their way below in the catacombs, they hold their own, thanks to their powers and skills. However, when Kitty is being attacked, she's just slightly too late to activate her phasing powers and gets caught. Yet able to readjust herself, and instead of getting slammed against the wall, she phases right through it. Unnoticed by the others because they're too busy with their own fights, and Wolverine and Cyclops are bickering with one another. Wolverine notices that this time he is not so much a snappy instigator, unlike in the past. He notices Cyclops blasting the enemies like a berserker and not the calm, cool and collected leader he normally is. Kitty finds herself in a place that might even be worse than where she came from, on the other side of the wall. She figures she's in a nest, and inside the nest are skeletons. Brood skeletons. Literally stripped to the bone, and judging from the way they shine, it wasn't done that long ago. There are also still eggs inside of the nest, so she figures she'd best get away from there as soon as possible. She does not want to find out what kind of creature lives here. She walks on the air and heads for the nearest exit, as she's being watched. And followed. In space, Binary tries her best, but gets overwhelmed by the sheer amount of Brood ships. She's getting stunned and snared immediately. They want to infect her with the slaver virus and get her completely under control, as powerful as she is. Next, Storm is attacked, and her Uncanny body is hurt. She cannot risk this specific Uncanny to get caught by the Brood. She's about to desert her friend Binary. But just as she's about to, her newfound Uncanny awareness allows her to see a ship materialize from making a downshift out of warp space. The space pirate Starjammers have finally found the ones they had been looking for weeks. Back in the catacombs, Wolverine asks Cyclops if he's seen Kitty around. Cyclops responds by saying that she knew the risk involved, and if he's so worried about her, he should go and find her. Wolverine, already growing suspicious of Cyclops' behavior, also notices how Cyclops' targeting is totally off. He homes in on Cyclops' scent and gets the confirmation he needed. He attacks Cyclops and rips off his visor, only to reveal that Cyclops' metamorphosis into a Brood has begun. With the visor no longer on his face and his transformation changing Cyclops' skull, the Brood has a wider aiming range and hits both Wolverine and Colossus and disables them. Lilandra tells Nightcrawler to start teleporting, to keep the Brood occupied, so she can attack it with her energy sword. It's a nice plan of attack, but they themselves get attacked from behind by the Queen and her cadre. The bioscans performed by the Brood that have arrived indicate that the hosts are knocked out, but generally unharmed, and the embryos are fine. The Queen tells the Brood in Cyclops' body that she's impressed by how far inside the X-Men were able to come, and how effective they were in fighting off and chasing away the critters down here. The Brood in Cyclops asks the Queen if she wants Wolverine slain, but she tells them not to. She's not going to try and implant another egg either, since that will be useless with this healing factor. She will take Wolverine along and devour him piece by piece, alive and well, and the Brood inside Cyclops may join in the feast. Once they find Kitty, they will go back to the hive. Kitty herself is being chased by other Brood and regrets leaving the nest, since that was obviously a place where the Brood themselves were not safe. She tries to phase through the floor, but she's apparently too tired to be able to concentrate enough to use her skills. The Brood catch up to her and tell her they would normally enjoy eating her beating heart, but they won't because the Queen wants her back in one piece. They won't be getting back, however. There's something or someone behind them. It's some kind of dragon-like creature, roaring at them, and all the Brood can do is flee, not even attack. The creature breathes fire at them, and the Brood combust and end up in smoldering piles of roasted Brood flesh, with Kitty being flabbergasted. The creature flies towards Kitty, while she wonders if it's friendly or not. She figures it must be, since she is still alive and the Brood are not. Apart from one that she had overlooked. It fires its blasters and tears a hole through the wall, right behind Kitty and the dragon, who were able to jump out of the way. It reveals some kind of cavern with beautiful bright light according to Kitty. but burning light to the Brood. Kitty doesn't understand what the Brood is on about, because all she can hear is music, calling to her, compelling them both as they walk straight into the light. The Brood Queen gets informed that contact has been lost with the Cartwright that was hunting for Kitty, and the Landra makes a snappy remark about it. The Queen shrugs it off, knowing they will all soon become Brood themselves. Cyclops is trying to resist the metamorphosis and regains control for a short period of time and hits the Brood Queen with his eye blast. Wolverine then takes advantage of the inexperience of the Brood embryo's control over Cyclops and his body and makes a leap towards them, straight into the eye blast. Wolverine gambled he could survive the blast and used this opportunity to free himself of the shackles that held him captive, quickly punching Cyclops in the face, rendering him unconscious before the Brood inside of him has regained full control again. The other Brood are confused on what to do with Wolverine, with the Queen being unconscious herself and her having ordered them to take Wolverine alive. Wolverine then positions his clenched fist on the Queen's face, threatening to unsheath his claws if they don't drop their weapons. They do so. The X-Men proceed deeper inside the catacombs, bringing the Queen along with them and leaving the other Brood behind in the shackles they have freed themselves from. They arrive at the same cavern Kitty went inside of, and Wolverine notices Kitty sent in there, as well as that of the Brood. Kitty walks out of the bright light coming outside of the cave, and tells them not to worry about the Brood inside the cave any longer. She tells everyone that the Brood warrior turned into a crystal and it happened right before her eyes. She thought the same was going to happen to her, but it didn't. Colossus is happy to see her alive and picks her up, high in the air. She tells them that she figures nothing happened to her because she's still fundamentally human, unlike the Brood warrior. She does suggest to leave the Queen outside and asks them if they've seen a little critter flying around. They haven't. The Brood Queen says she'll follow the X-Men wherever they go, not wanting to leave her progeny behind. They all enter the cave and are amazed at what they find there. Kitty asks if they can all feel the love emanating from the place, and all the Queen can feel is hatred. We then see the presence of the infected X-Men and the Queen herself corrupting the place, at the points where they touch the crystal. Shocked at this and telling everyone to go outside quickly, Wolverine gets stabbed by the Queen's stingers and gets lifted in the air. Wolverine blames himself for turning his back to her and leaving her stingers intact to begin with, so he corrects his mistake, cutting off the stingers. He falls to the floor, with his immune system immediately fighting the venom he's been injected with. As he tries to stand up, he can see his still infected friends in agony. They are all beginning their metamorphosis, and the corruption is spreading through the crystal room. The Queen is enjoying this and tells him that once the process of corrupting the soul is completed, they will have full control of the Uncanny, and will no longer have to chase them through the galaxy. They will rule them instantly, as well as the entire universe eventually. Wolverine will try to put an end to this, before it has even started, and he then tells the Queen that he will take care of his friend's host body for the Brood first, and then her, before he will allow this corruption to spread any further. As he walks towards Kitty, squirming on the floor and changing into a Brood, he pops his claws. At that moment, Binary comes crashing right through one of the walls, picks Wolverine up, and drags him away from Kitty's body, which is almost done transforming. She tells Wolverine to calm down, take it easy, as she will have him inside of the Starjammer in no time, having Sikorsky take care of him. He then tells her to forget about him and save the others first, and to try and save the Uncanny if she can. The Queen tells Wolverine that's very noble of him, but his world is doomed. Even if he does slay the Queen herself, and slay his precious friends, it will all be of no use, because another final embryo exists, and when that one hatches, it's game over. Binary doesn't pay attention to any of this, as she reaches out to the power inside of her. The power of her connection with the universe, just as Storm instructed her to do. Carol becomes an eldritch creature of light and fire, a living star. Resonating inside the crystal room, the energies build up and generate enough power to finally release the Uncanny soul. It shoots out in the sky deep into space and finds its new host, the one living prophet singer. The infant Uncanny and the Uncanny soul are now unified. The Uncanny are free at last. Inside the crystal room, Carol is worn out from the effort she put into this process. She can barely stand and asks Wolverine how he's holding up. He tells her that they have to finish the others off. Even with the soul being liberated, they can't allow their friend's metamorphosis to complete. Carol tells him to take a good look at his friends. The soul purged the X-Men and the Landra of the Brood elements inside their bodies, and rendered the queen into the same crystal as the room itself. Suddenly, out of nowhere, they can feel the ground shake. Tremors, which are caused by Carol playing with incredible cosmic forces. Forces that probably, most likely even, have had their effect on the Brood world's composition. They'd better leave. Pronto. Carol helps Corsair on her communicator and he will beam them all up, leaving Kitty worried about the dragon-like creature she had met, but not having been able to thank it for its help. And now she won't even get a chance to say goodbye, having to leave so quickly. A few moments later, the Brood world explodes. Sleaze world is no more. After a while, Wolverine has been examined and gets scolded by everyone for not laying in bed and getting his rest, as the rest of the X-Men and Lilandra have settled down a bit, in the company of the Starjammers. Corsair and Scott have a talk about family and friends and about Scott being bothered with killing off an entire planet. Corsair tells his son that's a normal thing, and he tries to help him rationalize the choices he's made. Mamselle Hepzibah enters and she has a surprise for all of them. Storm's back, alive and well. Though asked by the soul of the prophet singer to stay connected to the infant until maturity, she declined, because she no longer felt that need, nor did she want to leave her friends behind. They all rejoice in a long and rough mission having gone relatively well, considering the circumstances. It's time for a party, or so they all think. Apart from Wolverine, he tells them he hates to be a spoilsport, but he has bad news. Even after everything that has just occurred, it's still not over yet. Cyclops asks what he means because even though some of the Brood clan ships escaped, but without the Queen, they can't be that big of a threat. Wolverine reminds them that minutes before the Brood Queen died, she had told them everything they would try, it would all result in the Earth being doomed, because there's one more royal Brood embryo left, and Logan has figured out what she meant by that. There can only be one person hosting that, and that person is Charles Xavier. Thanks for watching the video and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, because that will help me out in growing the channel and being able to produce more videos like this one. See you next episode.